Cloudehill in Victoria's Dandenong Ranges is the pinnacle of great garden design, and it's a labour of love for owner Jeremy Francis, who's been growing and nurturing this magnificent landscape for over 25 years. Of course, the beauty of a garden is that it grows and changes throughout the year, but also throughout the ages, and with time comes some exciting maintenance challenges. It must have been amazing for you to watch this garden grow and develop over the years.
Oh, it's been an absolute joy. And watching it over the first few years, we started off with so many historic plants, and we've been watching it evolve and change and tweaking it year by year ever since 1992 now, so for a lot of years.
And how do you find working with something that's growing and living and changing all the time?
It always surprises you, of course. There's certain plants we absolutely rely on. There are other plants we have to figure out year by how well they grow, others by watching them disappear as well. I mean, it's absolutely fulfilling, and that's the beauty of gardening.
And do you find that from a maintenance standpoint it can be quite challenging when you're dealing with a garden that you've owned for so long?
There are jobs that crop up every few years, and of course hedges grow year by year, and occasionally they need renovation. Major trees suddenly become a problem. They develop an awful disease and have to be removed, and you're left with this huge hole, which is pretty discouraging for a few weeks, but after a while it becomes an opportunity as well to rethink that entire section of the garden.
And what about the hedges, because they obviously grow and develop?
We planted many of the hedges over the first 2 or 3 years, and the hornbeam hedge, for instance, went in 1992, so our very first winter. It grew up into the hedge we wanted, about 2 metres high by about half a metre across within about 2 years, 3 years. After 25 years, you end up with a hedge which is way too big. It actually became a health and safety issue for whoever was clipping the top of the hedge. It grew past our tripod ladder. We took to it with a chainsaw last winter.
And it's responded really well.
It just burst out of the old wood that first spring, so this is 12 months ago now, and you can see that growth just bursting away.
Is there a spot in the garden that you just love to be?
Well, it depends on the season. So we have the hedges divide the entire garden into about 25 compartments, and so there's compartments for each season. So I'm looking at whatever's looking at its best. There's always something. In winter, of course, it goes back to the architecture, the overall architecture. So that's why we've gone to a lot of trouble putting in good, strong bones.
Now, this garden, I imagine, is a little bit like a child for you. You've raised it, you've grown it, you've nurtured it. How does it make you feel now when you see the garden?
I think the important thing with a garden like this is to wander around and be surprised by the garden. And I spend a lot of time walking around here at 5 and 6 and 7 o'clock at night, thinking about what happens over the next week, the next month, the next 6 months.